Welcome to the Grounded Path, Tools for Soul. I'm Emma Muir. This podcast is for men who are tired of carrying everything alone, tired of performing who they think they should be, and ready to connect with who they truly are. Together, we'll explore self-awareness, emotional intelligence, fatherhood, relationships, and the beliefs that shape how we show up in the world. Because the goal isn't to become someone else, the goal is to come home to yourself. So let's begin. Hey, and welcome to another episode. I want to take a minute to ground in before we get going into the topic. I also want to say the moment that I started to record, one of my children decided that they needed to shower. So such is life when you are raising 3 teens. So here we are. Take a minute. So there's background noise. Please and thank you for moving through it with me. Ground in, take a deep breath, and just breathe deep. Let your shoulders drop down with every breath. Let your body settle as you breathe in and out deeply. There's nothing to fix right now, nothing to solve. Just land here. Be here now. I want to go through a topic today that really... I want to talk about something that I think creates an enormous amount of confusion for people, and in particular men. The title of today's podcast is Feel Everything, Believe Nothing Immediately. So why do I think it creates a lot of confusion for people, and particularly men? It's this. Most men have been taught one of two things. Don't feel, or if you feel something, it must be true. Neither is particularly helpful, because what I've come to understand through my own life and the work I do with clients is this. You feel everything, believe nothing immediately. And I know that might sound a little strange, but please stay with me, because the problem isn't feeling what... When most people experience a strong emotion, they immediately move to meaning. Something happens, like they feel anxious and immediately something bad is going to happen. They feel rejected, immediately I'm not enough. They feel lonely, immediately, no one cares about me. They feel fear, and immediately, I shouldn't do this. But what if the feeling isn't actually telling you any of those things? What if it's simply giving you information? Because feelings are information. That's all they are. Like signals, messages, data, not necessarily facts. Men do feel deeply. And that's one of the biggest myths that I see, is that men don't feel. I mean, can we look at a sporting event? Can we look at men watching a sporting event? That's emotion in motion. So it's absolute fucking rubbish. Men feel deeply, incredibly deeply. The issue isn't a lack of feeling. The issue that goes on is a lack of understanding, because many men have never been taught how to recognize what they're feeling, how it shows up in the body, how to sit with it, how to become curious about it. Instead, they either suppress it or they become consumed by it, and neither creates freedom. And we see this all the time. The suppression of it shows up in numbing, shows up in alcohol abuse, drug abuse, people abuse. Or they become consumed by it, and then they believe that it means something about them because that's how they feel about themselves or the world around them. And so this is where the story gets, and it gets really messy. And here's where it gets interesting as well. The feeling itself is usually not the problem. It's the first step of what we make it mean. Okay, so let's say someone doesn't text you back. You feel something, right? You don't hear from them back. You may be disappointed, maybe uncertainty, maybe rejection. The feeling's real, but then the mind gets involved and suddenly the thoughts flood in. They don't care about me. I've done something wrong. I'm not important. They're pulling away. Now we're not dealing with the feeling anymore. We're dealing with a story built from old experiences, beliefs, wounds, fears. Most of the suffering happens there in the old beliefs, old wounds, old fears, not in the feeling, in the meaning that our mind creates around it. Here's a question that changes everything. This is one of the questions I ask myself all the time. It's not what am I feeling, but what am I making this mean? That question creates space. Space between the feeling and the reaction. Space between the trigger and the story that you create. Space between what is happening and what your mind is telling you is happening. And in that space, you get a choice. Now, this happens to me on the daily. I've already mentioned that one of my beautiful babes decided to have a shower right now. And it is what it is. Now, I'll be honest, I used to make meaning out of that. I used to make it mean that they didn't respect me. That's not true. They are teenagers with brains that are going ballistic. These are facts. And they've not put two and two together that mum's recording, so maybe a shower isn't okay. They've done none of that. It's not that they don't respect me. It's just that what they've considered is their need right now. And they are children turning into adults. And that takes time. And it does take a little bit of understanding and a little bit of space. So I create that space in me to just have a laugh about it because I get to choose. And what happens is in that space is that self-trust is built there. And I've built a lot of self-trust here in the space. Because that's where self-trust comes from. Never from, well, it's not from never feeling fear. It's definitely not from never ever feeling sadness. It's 100% not from ever feeling rejection. Because here's the thing, you can't avoid feeling. And I don't care what all the little pop culture, pseudo, whatever is out there. You're human feelings and you have feelings and you can't avoid them. So it's not like you just wake up and go, well, I'm never going to feel rejected again, or I'm never going to feel sad again. I don't want that life. I don't want that life for you either. Self-trust comes from knowing you can feel those things without immediately believing every story that you attach to them. That's emotional maturity. It's emotional structure. It's It's emotional intelligence, not controlling emotions, understanding them. Now, if there is one thing I want you to take away from this episode, it's this. Feel everything, believe nothing immediately. Feel the fear, feel the sadness, feel the anger, feel the disappointment, the loneliness. Let the feeling be there because your feelings are real. But before you let that clever fucking mind of yours attach a story to them, before you think you decide what they mean or want them to mean or choose what they mean, before you take action, before you react, get curious and ask yourself, what am I making this mean? Because that question might reveal that the thing causing your suffering isn't the feeling at all. It's the story. And when you can separate the two, you can begin to reconnect to yourself in a completely different way. And that for me is one of the biggest parts to where my peace began, to where your peace begins. It's in the creating a space between that precious pause. Yeah. Now that's in the Path to Peace. If you want more, the links are below. You can grab your copy and start moving through it. You don't have to follow the whole thing and it's from start to finish. You can jump around and take in the chapters that you want to take in and practice the chapters. That's the only thing that I encourage you to do is to put them into practice. And then the second thing is make them your own. There's lots of ways that I can guide you through, and there's lots of little, pieces in there that can help guide you in a different direction, the one that you want towards peace. It's up to you how you take that journey. If you want to know where you're starting from, the Stuck Cycle link is there and it's a free survey. It gives you kind of an indication about where you are sitting in your shame cycle, in your shame story. And I think that's an important piece. We tend to ignore shame quite a bit. And this is quite often what happens in our reactive state. We are sitting in a state of shame. And I've done episodes on that before, so you go back and you have a listen. You can also take the little mini course, which takes you deeper into emotions, deeper into understanding your patterns and, your first steps into moving beyond them. You want to connect with me, the link is there as well. Thanks so much for sharing your time, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for joining me on the Grounded Path. If today's conversation sparks something in you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with another man who might benefit from hearing it. As you move through your week, remember this. You don't need another mask. You definitely don't need another coping mechanism. You don't need another version of yourself. You simply need the courage to reconnect with what's already true for you. Until next time, take care.